from the MCPLive.tv studios, located in downtown Conroe, it's the Conroe Art League, live.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to Cal Live, the show that introduces you one by one to the artist of the Conroe Art League. My name is Jennifer Clausen, and I am pleased to be your host. Today, I am speaking with Cal artist Jan Saunders. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to share your art and your story.
Thank you.
Jan, what brought you to this area?
To this area, I retired about 3 years ago now, and I wanted to move closer to my daughter and my son, who are out here.
Oh,
So,
that's fantastic.
family.
Family is always a good reason for a move.
Yes.
And are you originally from this area?
No, I'm not. I was actually born in Kerrville, and I was raised in Dallas, Texas. So Texas is home, and I've lived out in Sugar Land for quite a few years. Out with my sister, used to live out there for about 30 years. And I didn't live out there that long, but I moved out there to be near her and her family for a while.
I was not aware of that. I actually grew up in that area myself.
I know you did.
All right. Well, when did your art interests begin?
I have been sketching and drawing all my life, and really it was just for fun and all. I didn't start taking anything seriously until I was in high school and took a few art classes then. But my primary interest in my early life was the ballet. And so I was fortunate enough to get to do every little girl's dream. I was a ballerina until I had my first child, my son. So that was about 15 years there. I was able to dance professionally and everything. And then I was an at-home mother for a few years, and then I started back to work. And I worked in the healthcare industry for about 40 years. And I always said, when I retired, I wanted to do two things. I wanted to work with my service group, the Daughters of the American Revolution, and to paint. I wanted to get back into my artwork, and that's what I've done. I love it. I'm having the time of my life with it.
It is so fantastic to find something like that to nourish your soul, and not only that, but keep it in mind and never forget to go back to it.
Yes.
Did you take any formal training or classes?
The classes that I've taken are from Pat Knight, who is out of Colorado, and then also Edward Aldridge, who is also an artist out there in Colorado. Here I've been taking classes, well, not classes, I've been getting instruction in our portrait group from Juan Cantavello, and I am excited because I've only been painting now since 2018, and I feel like I just get better as long as I work on it.
Yeah, with just about anything that tends to be the case,
just
doesn't
keep
it?
working on it.
Well, you did introduce me to Edward Aldridge, and I looked at his work, and I'm very impressed.
Incredible.
Yes.
His
And
animals, his wolves in that, and his mountain lions are magnificent.
they are. They really bring a different light to those animals, especially the ones that you really don't get to see that often and are very hard to even photograph for those
Much
nature
less,
photographers.
yes. And he does all of his photography. He's just incredible.
Oh, well, that's quite a feat then.
Yes.
So do you have any other historical artists that inspire you?
Mostly the masters, the old masters, because, for instance, Rembrandt and such have the depth and the, I don't know what you want to say, but
Well, there was certainly that art movement, chiaroscuro in the Renaissance era, and all of those artists were competing for that dark and light, and
yes, that the true reflections and the contrast.
Yes.
That's what I tried.
Well, it's definitely a challenge, and I try that as well. And like you say, practice is only going to make you better. So that's fantastic. So what subjects inspire you the most?
What subjects? I love the animals, and I love foxes.
Yes.
And out there, when I was in Colorado for a while, every now and then you would see this gorgeous, brilliant flash of red running across the field, and that was exciting to me. One time I was driving my mother out to a friend's house, and we were way out in the country, and all of a sudden I saw this little head pop up, and he was on a knoll, and it was just a gorgeous red fox, and he was just sitting there just looking around, and he saw us, and he kind of like tilted his head as we were driving by, and I stopped the car. Beautiful animal, beautiful. I tried to get pictures of him, but he wouldn't hold still, so I never got the picture.
I can understand that. Well, in the way you speak how passionate you are of these creatures and their curiosity, it must really shine through in your work. And
I hope so.
Yes.
I work on that. Again, working on that.
And so regarding animals and wildlife, what is it about them that really pops out to you?
It's simply their movement. Even when they're sitting still, a wild animal seems to still have that action, that as if they're about ready to move. You see the fluidity of their movements. And I think that's part of the ballet, the dancing background. They say that dance is the only art in which the artist is the actual art.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the animals are their own piece of art right there. They just have to be, looking at a cat, any cat, big cat, little cat.
Sure.
They're so fluid in their movement. And to try and capture that in just a still life, a point in time, I would be ecstatic if I could ever really capture that. So, yes, I love the animals.
I can completely understand. And that correlation between dance and their movement, it is quite symbolic, and I think it says a lot about you and moving through life and creating and not forgetting some of that that inspired you and
in the beginning.
And
yes.
sparked you in the beginning.
That's
for
true.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a member of Conroe Art League?
About 2.5. Well, it's almost going to be 3 years soon.
That's fantastic.
First time when I came out, I looked around for a home, the artist home, and I talked to. It was Brett Hall.
Oh.
Yes. And at the time, he was president.
Yes.
And he was telling me all about these wonderful things going on, and I went, that's home. That's where I want to be. So, yes, I have never regretted. It's a fantastic group of people, as you know.
I do. It's been a great community, and I encourage anyone to seek out a local art league, and especially Conroe Art League, because they have really embraced the artists are not competitive. They really want to nourish your spirit and encourage you, and so that's kind of why we do the member shows and several other group activities that are essentially free.
Yes,
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the paint groups. We have the portrait group. We have the still life. We have the life group.
Life drawing, yes.
And they are all. Everyone helps each other in those classes.
They do, and those are a nominal fee typically. So
you're
it's
only paying for the model.
the model. That's correct.
is nominal, like you said. So it's wonderful to have that kind of, camaraderie
It certainly
with
is.
the artist.
Yes.
No competition, as you said.
So, have you made any contributions to the league? Have you volunteered on anything?
I was over the Art in the City for about a year, and Art in the City is where artists in the community can show their paintings in the Conroe City Hall, in the Chamber of Commerce. We also have a showing at Wood Forest Bank, a large showing there. It's really nice if anyone has the opportunity. And we also show at the First Financial Bank in Conroe,
Okay.
right off 105. Beautiful, all of them, and I loved working with and coordinating the artists on those. Then I was also over the education for the Conroe Art League for a while, but it was during 2020.
Oh, the special year.
Very special year. A lot of canceling of classes and
Yes,
such.
unfortunately.
But we were able to really put together a good group of teachers, regardless, and people would try to come in. And we work a lot in the education department with the after-school kids and with the at-home school kids. So that was exciting there because we have a tremendous couple of teachers for the children. And I was just, well, to be honest, I was floored at how much they were able to get out of the kids, pull them out and see their true talent.
Yes.
Even as children, So, and then I've also worked on the bylaws committee. We revamped the bylaws for Conroe Art League, brought them more up to date and in alignment with what is happening now.
Yes.
They hadn't been
Times change.
Yes, they hadn't been done in quite a few years. So yes, we did that. And just a few things, always a docent, whenever they need it.
Sure. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and it's members like you that make this art league what it is, so thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to take a look at some of the paintings that you've done in the
sure.
past?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that is my lion, portrait of a lion. I did that in 2019, and Edward Aldridge actually handed me the original photograph, and he said, "Here, paint a lion." So I tried. He also did his version of that lion. His version is facing the other way. And of course it's much more spectacular than this. But that is my lion, yes.
What are the key nuggets that he gave you that you've kept on to and still use today?
He very much he wanted the fur on all the animals to look like fur. So it wasn't necessarily painting every single piece of fur. It was giving an indication of where the fur might be, where it's dark or where the light shines on it.
Mm-hmm.
His key remarks were always, where's the light coming from on this animal? Now the fur is going to reflect it differently because the fur is moving in different directions, even in one little spot.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that going to be reflected? So that was something, it's still hard for me
Yes.
to work on. But he's right, you can shine a light on a cat, and because their hair is fluffed up over here and it's lying flat over here, it's going to reflect the light differently. And that was something difficult, and it's still difficult.
Sure, and it's a great thing to carry with you
Mhm.
as you grow and as you work on your practice.
Yes.
Well, how about the second image you brought in for us today?
one. That is a picture, a painting of a picture that I had seen years ago, and I was able to find it again, of autumn. And I love it because it reminds me a lot of Colorado, walking through the woods, especially when the season is changing. All the leaves change at once. They're all gold and red and orange, and that just reminded me of the path walking up back into the woods. So yes, I love that paint. The fact is, I have that hanging in my house. I kept that one.
Well, any remembrance of Colorado I would have hanging in my house as well. Those autumn colors are certainly magical, especially with the aspens flickering in the wind.
I know. They're gorgeous. They are beautiful.
And are there any techniques that you used in that particular painting that was from one of your instructors?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Vicki McMillan Hayes, who is a local artist, and I absolutely adore her. Actually met her at DAR, and not the art studio. She showed me a technique where you use a thickener on the painting, and you can paint, it builds up the canvas a little bit in different areas. So it's a little nubby over here, and different texture over here.
Is that like a gesso or what?
No,
product?
it's a little bit thicker than gesso.
Ah, okay.
It is thicker. So it adds height to your painting. And I use that in the bottom part mostly to give more texture to the leaves and that down there.
Sure, and
I loved it.
perspective,
Yeah.
right.
So yes, Vicki is a tremendous artist. Oh my goodness.
We have a lot of talented artists in the Art
We
League.
do.
And
It's a who's who of this
certainly
area's artists.
visiting the gallery is always makes for an interesting month.
Yes.
You never know what's going to be up on the walls or in the center as a sculpture.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
It's
yeah.
great. How about the third image you brought for us today?
That is from my portrait class, and it's not entirely completed, but that is Juan Cantavella. And he posed for us one day. He sent out a text message, as he always does, to remind us of the Friday portrait class. And he said, we're going to have a beautiful model this Friday. So I get there, and it's just Juan. And he said, okay, our model called in and said they can't come.
So he wasn't talking about himself.
No. And I said, well, we still got a beautiful model.
That's right.
So that's how he ended up modeling for that. But I wanted to do something of him anyway, because I call him the master, because he is a master painter. And I feel so privileged to be able to even sit there and take instruction from him. He's just incredible painter.
It is important to honor those mentors and those people in the gallery that are artists or just volunteer their time and give so much back to us. So I can understand wanting to paint a portrait that really highlights someone that you honor so much.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
So for him, did you work off of him live painting? Did you sketch it first, or did you take photographs and work off of both?
With Juan in the portrait class, the person sits up there with the screen behind and everything, and we simply start painting. Now, the way that Juan teaches it, and which I'm really working with, is to go in and first put in all of your shadows. You don't even sketch out the face. You don't sketch anything. You just simply go in and start working on your shadows. And then you lighten a little bit as you go along, and eventually you come up with the entire painting. And then you go in and you can do more of an outline, and of course where your eyes are,
the
detail work on that. But you start with just shadows. across in the general shape of whatever object you're doing. And for portraits, you can imagine he will have light set up much like this studio, but he will have light coming only from one direction. And so another side of the face will be completely dark, you know, but you have a face, and you have different shadowing on there. And so that's his style of teaching, is to work first with, and that's why I call him the master, because if you think about Rembrandt and Leonardo da Vinci actually painted the Mona Lisa, her face, in that style.
That's right, yes.
So, yes, it's difficult, but it's so much rewarding.
It is, yes, for sure. I know when I create art, you know, walk away and come back to it, you know, it can be a struggle that you just work through, and you realize it later what those steps meant, and
yes,
the growth you get from it.
Yes, and sometimes you have to go through that difficult and awkward time, is what I call it. And once you get on the other side of it, right, you can look back and say, oh, I remember that. I could have done this differently, couldn't I?
Yeah, if you stay in your comfort zone, you don't have growth. Yeah.
You don't grow.
Exactly. Well, I know what you talked about. There's a project you were working on, or a painting, is that correct?
I have a couple of going right now. One of them is another portrait, and I just posted it in the Cal Arts Facebook.
Okay.
And that it was a portrait of a gentleman who came in last Friday, and I was bound and determined, because one looked at it and he said, "You made him too pale." And I was like, oh dear, he looks old. No, I didn't mean to make him look old. So I worked all weekend and on Monday, and Tuesday Monday evening, I finally posted him. And I hope that one likes him. I'm going to take him to class or to the work group and show him, because I really didn't mean for him to look so bad. And then I have another one. I'm working on a snow scene from, again, Colorado, the snow in Colorado. Everybody, my family I have family out there right now. They are snowed in, and I can just imagine where the icicles are, where the snow drifts have fallen. You know, sometimes it's hard to get in the front door because you have to push all the snow away before you can even get out on the walk. So I'm doing the snow scene with the old barn out there, and hopefully I'll finish that in the next week, 2 weeks.
Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Well, thank you.
Do you show your work anywhere?
At the Conroe Art League.
Well, that's fantastic, because I will be there often.
Yes.
And so anyone wanting to purchase or view your work, how should they go about contacting you or
At the
doing
Conroe Art League.
That's another wonderful plug. Well, it has been a pleasure, as we just said, to see Jan's artwork, and as well as the artwork of all the other Cal members at Conroe Art League. Please visit us at the Best Little Art Gallery in downtown Conroe at 127 Simonton Street. We are open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Join us at the gallery, where we live by our creed: create, appreciate, and learn.